Дорогие мои подписчики, друзья, всех приветствую из Бостона. Сегодня у нас будет тур по Бостону, называется TD. Будем гулять сегодня по этому Бостону и покажу вам весь город за 1 час. Давайте погнали посмотреть.
That goes with our theme. It's called Boston, so we're allowed to play that. We're very nice and loud. So Vanessa's a big fan of mine, but it doesn't work right. Welcome to Chicago, everyone. We are the Windy City. Wrigley Field was built in 1914. And that's all I know about Chicago. I love the looks on your faces. Like, wow, most people know that we're not in Chicago, but you guys look like you really weren't sure there for a minute. Nice to see you all. Now, you know who's in charge, right? Besides Emily? I just met Emily in back, and Emily's already thinking, why did I give this guy my name? This is right now, like, why? But besides Emily, Vanessa's in charge. Let's hear it for Vanessa. Woo! They don't sound surprised at that. My name is Jigsaw. Do you guys like puzzles? Jigsaw puzzles? You like jigsaw puzzles, right? Puzzles. I'm the puzzle guy. Here in Massachusetts, big gaming history. Milton Bradley started here in Springfield. Parker Brothers started here in Salem. Some of the first puzzles that Parker Brothers sold, no picture on the box. We're talking 1880s. You pour these 1,000 pieces of a jigsaw. I have no idea what it was going to be. Wouldn't that drive you crazy? Yeah, short trip for this group, I can tell already. So we got some people from New Hampshire in the back there, I hear. Does anyone else want to tell me where you're from? Where are you guys from over here? España. I like to say España. I don't know if that's right or not. España. Israel. Welcome. You guys? Where are you from? From where? Don't be so coy. Somebody tell me. Alright guys, this is a time tour. We're moving right along. No, really, where are you from? You could tell me. Peru? Alright, welcome from Peru. That wasn't so tough. Here we go. I like your colors. Look at you, yellows and blues and reds and oranges. You guys are like a team here, like a rainbow team. How about you? Where are you from?
Canada.
Oh, Canada. I don't know why, you just have to sing that. And who's doing the videotaping over there?
From Russia.
Where are you from?
From Russia.
Russia. Oh, really? Oh. Okay, good to know. How long are you in town for? Just till the next election? No, come on, stop it. We don't even want to go there. How about you guys in the back? Where are you from? From where? Belgium? Belgium. Do you know my friend Kim Kleisters? Kim Kleisters and I are like, I want to be like that with her. I know she's married. I know she's cheating on me, but still, if you know her, just tell her I said hi, okay? All right. If you know Kim Kleisters, #1 in tennis in the world for a while, and then she got married, and then she had a baby, and then she became #1 again. Now Halep is great too, right? I think Halep won the Wimbledon. Wow. We've got some wind coming in. Do you like this windshield? Isn't this fun? I get so used to doing this with my windshield on the duck that I try to do it on my own car. Yeah, but a Lamborghini doesn't have that feature. It doesn't. 3 of them. I keep buying them. I don't know why I keep buying the Lamborghinis. None of them work. So what is this little thing here? Can I see what that is? Look, let's say hi to Vanessa. What the heck is that? Woo! What is it? Wow, what is that thing? Oh, and look at it. It moves. Look at that. It's a gimbal. It's got a gimbal. Look at that. I feel like you just met me like in the Amazon, and I'm like, ooh, what is this? But I am like that. Look at that. All right then. So you have a puzzle piece. Is it for autism or is it for just? Oh, look at that. It's got cannabis in it too. Just it's covering all the bases. There you go. Well, nice to see you all. We're going to talk about all kinds of things. I might talk about nothing, because there's nothing over here that I want to talk about. Yes, there was a parking garage here for decades, and all last summer they dismantled it. They were hosing it with water so we wouldn't get all that dust, which thank you very much. And now there's nothing. There's this hole in the ground. Look down. Don't stand up, but it goes really far down. Look at this. What humans do. That's kind of what I want the tagline of my tour to be. Stuff that humans do. Hi, guys. Oh, we might have to quack some people. I'm going to have to tell you how to quack, okay? So, all right, who's feeling bold? You said Canada. You're not even from here. Can you give me the name of a son of liberty, one of the sons of liberty?
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson. Sure, that works. And then in the Boston area, we got people like Sam Adams and John Hancock, people like that. Well, did they get together at their own homes? No. This was treasonous, what they were talking about, right? This was very dangerous. So they got together at taverns. And in my hand, I have a green dragon. Did I scare you? The Green Dragon. That was one of the taverns, Green Dragon Tavern. So if I say Green Dragon, you give me 2 quacks, okay? I don't know. Will they hear us over there? Green Dragon. Quack, quack. I think he's smiling on the inside right now. You guys ever see that movie, The Departed? That Departed, that was a wicked piece of movie. Some of it's filmed right there. Leonardo DiCaprio was running up and down those stairs. Matt Damon. If you didn't get my accent, I'm listening to The Departed. Yes. So what do people do with that? Then you take it out and you go and you say that Jigsaw, he was just so charming. It's February and it's winter and I just want to say hi to Jigsaw again. No, you charge your friends, right? You say, hey, come on over, we're gonna charge you $1 apiece for the tour. All right, rule of thumb in Boston. Flat streets in Boston, what used to be here? Water. A lot of water in Boston. Yes, a lot of water in Boston. We have reclaimed a lot of places in Boston. So this was harbor. We're going to go up and over Beacon Hill and get to the Back Bay. It's called the Back Bay because it was the back bay of the Charles River. And we had about 60 feet of land higher on Beacon Hill. We took that off, pushed it down, and filled in what was known as the Mill Pond. Now we're on this tour, well, when we leave from the Museum of Science, we don't go any closer to the harbor. I wish we did. But on the other side of these buildings is now a beautiful greenway. Have you guys been to the aquarium or have you been to the North End? Has anyone been over that away? Because that's the harbor, that's what we're talking about right now. And I want to tell you a little bit about it because you might want to go over there. In the 1950s, we put a highway through here. It was horrible. It blocked off the North End. It blocked off the aquarium. You couldn't get from Quincy Market, where we're going, over there without going through these tunnels. Then we start our big dig project. Kids, can you say federally funded? Federally funded, yes. That means that everyone, even from Canada, paid for this. I'm sure, so don't be smug about it, okay? Okay. So what we did is we did a lot of things. We'll talk about the bridge, and we built a tunnel from the Mass Pike to Logan Airport. And over on the left, behind these buildings, there used to be that highway. We put it underground. And what do we have now? The beautiful Rose Kennedy Greenway. So I recommend the Greenway wholeheartedly. It's on the other side of these buildings. It's got a carousel for the kids. It's got a fountain. It's got food trucks. It's got a beer garden. Trillium Beer Garden. It's good. Are you good with that one? Okay, good. Of course you are. So if you guys want to come back here later, there's lots of things to see and do inside this Boston Public Market. You know what they have? They have air conditioning. Yay! They also have picnic tables, and they've got locally sourced food. So go in there, bring your kids, and they got ice cream and sandwiches, beer and wine and cheese and stuff. Tomorrow you will not be able to drive on this street, I bet you. You know why? Because we have the outdoor produce market that's been here longer than anyone else in the country. We have the oldest outdoor produce market in the country. It goes around those buildings. It's called the Haymarket. Friday and Saturday takes up the whole street there. Look to our left, you will see these 6 towers, the very moving New England Holocaust Memorial. Each tower is etched with 1 million numbers, and that's to recall the 6 million Jews who lost their lives in the death camps of World War II. Behind that is the Union Oyster House. That is the oldest continuously operated restaurant in the entire country. Great food in there, and also great history. Go over, and even if you walk just in front of it, Marshall Street has cobblestone. It's a really nice old Boston feel to it. Ooh, and this is where the Blue Man Group practiced. No. This building on our left, this is Faneuil Hall, and this is the Cradle of Liberty. Now, they do have it covered up. They're working on the windows and the cupola. But you're going to see Sam Adams out front because they used to debate issues of the Revolutionary War in that building. And you guys might come back here because this is the most visited tourist attraction in the city of Boston. It's so funny. I can see the reflection of Dorchester Dottie over there in the Sephora, but I can't see the duck over there. The duck is over there. So one of our ducks is going that way. In the sunshine to our left, we've got James Michael Curley standing up, and he's also seated on the bench. Do you see two statues of the same guy within like 10 feet of each other? We have that in another place in Boston, behind Fenway Park, where there is a statue of Ted Williams putting a little hat on a little fan statue, and then there's teammates, and Ted Williams was one of the 4 teammates. But James Michael Curley was he was really the first very influential Irish politician in Boston. He was mayor of Boston 4 separate times, and he was governor of Massachusetts. A bit of a scoundrel, though. He ran one of his campaigns from prison, and he won. He did. He had gotten caught taking a civil service, I'm not going to say that ever again, taking an exam for a friend, and that was his tagline was, "I did it for a friend." Now don't be too confused. They are building a Sam Adams tap room over here, and it's overlooking Sam Adams. He did not brew beer. It's just confusing people so much. So coming up on the right, we're going to see probably my favorite old building in Boston. What you doing there? What you doing? So we're going to see a gold lion up here, and you're going to see a platinum unicorn, symbols of the British crown. This is where the Boston Massacre took place. Do you know how many people killed in the Boston Massacre? It was only 5 people. That's it. 5 people killed. March 5th, 1770. Do you know who defended those guys in court? The guy who later became our 2nd president. John Adams defends those guys in court and defends them successfully. None of them found guilty of murder, but 2 of them were found guilty of manslaughter. John Adams knew if they were found guilty of murder, they would be hanged. And to hang somebody for something they did in self-defense was just wrong. Shows you how much we respected John Adams, though. Super unpopular move. Still was elected our 2nd president. This whole area was called Scully Square, and this had bars, dance halls, burlesque theaters, and tattoo parlors. So it was a lot like Canada. Think about it. If you look to the right, you will see a teapot in the sunshine. The teapot's been up for over 140 years. Now, there were a lot of people in Boston who did not speak English. We had people from whaling ships and merchant ships, people from all over the world. And if your captain said, "Go into Boston and get me some tea," you could find the tea because you could find the tea kettle. Oriental Tea Company right underneath that. It's one of the reasons I went with my multicultural outfit this year. And over on the little quaint end of Charles Street, we kept these pictographs going. There's a hammer in the hardware store. There's a big mug on the Sevens pub. You know, they used to have pictures on the taverns, the tavern signs, and they'd show the kind of food they served, so you knew whether it was for like fishermen or for the guys who own the fishing boats. You know, it was one or the other. I always think over here, especially on a hot day, you know what they have in the beginning of the summer? The Scooper Bowl. You pay 1 price for charity, you get to eat all the ice cream you can handle. It's awesome. And it's not just one ice cream company, they got all these different ice cream companies over there. Now, Mary Chilton came over on the Mayflower. She's buried up here on the left. It's the King's Chapel burial ground. It's the oldest burial ground in the city of Boston. John Winthrop buried over there, in charge of the first Puritans in Boston. And even the guy who invented the crossword puzzle. He is 5 across and 6 down. Thank you, one person. So for the rest of you who want more history, where did that word Puritan come from? Puritan meant to purify the Church of England. Over here, King's Chapel was the first Anglican church in Boston. The the Puritans in England thought that the Anglicans had too many bishops with too much power. And they thought they had all these ceremonies that had nothing to do with the Bible. So they said, let's come over and purify these guys. They made them build their church in the cemetery because they didn't want them here at all. On the left is the Almond Parker House Hotel, the oldest continuously operated hotel in the entire country. A lot of ghosts in there. Yes, Charles Dickens stayed there the second time he got here in 1867. Look to the right, we see the Granary Burial Grounds. We have the 5 victims of the Boston Massacre buried here. 3 signers of the Declaration of Independence buried here. John Hancock, please don't reach out, okay? Sir, just the arms, because look at cars coming by and stuff. So we've got John Hancock buried here. We have Sam Adams, Robert Treat Paine. What were you hoping that she would see over there? He doesn't speak much English, do you? What did you want? I'm just curious. What did you want her to see? Yeah. No, that's okay. That's okay. I was just saying, sometimes I didn't know if there was something that was particular to her, if you were interested in or something. I like to learn. But yeah, no, that's okay if you do it quietly. But I'm supposed to tell everyone, don't reach out, because things come really close to us. You'd be surprised. Signs and trees and ambulances and stuff like that. So if you lost something, I'd feel bad. It would ruin my day. You know, if you took your arm off or something. You guys okay? I'm just gonna amuse myself. So we're gonna go through this light, and you can look to the right up the hill, and you're gonna see the gold dome of the State House. So the first time you see the State House. This was called the Granary because there were grain silos here before the Park Street Church. And this Park Street Church is Brimstone Corner. That's what they called it with all their fiery speeches. And there is the gold dome of the State House up on top. We're such a fragile species, aren't we? If it starts to rain, everyone runs for cover. Yesterday, everyone, all of a sudden there was nobody here. And then the sun came out and everyone's back again. Like little cockroaches or something. If you want to take a walk on the Freedom Trail, it starts over here in the visitor center. That's a 2.5 mile self-guided walking tour. It goes from here out to Charlestown. Hey, wave to yourself in the window. Look at that. Yay. So if I asked this young girl on tour the other day if she knew who wrote Romeo and Juliet, and she was so cute. She said, "I know that. That was Taylor Swift." She was 9 years old. Now, I was looking for Shakespeare because we do Shakespeare in the park. And we've been doing it for 24 years straight. And I've probably been to about 15 of them over the years. They usually do it the last week of July, first week in August. But it's free and under the stars. If we were to go straight here, we'd go into the theater district. Get some good shows in there. Two of the longest running shows here, of course, Blue Man Group and Sheer Madness. But they used to bring their shows here and try them out. And if they worked, great. They'd bring them down to other places. And if they didn't, they'd bring them out again. Are you saying that's true? Did you know that? Oh, they still do. Well, you know what they did? There was a show called Away We Go. Did not work very well. They brought it out again as Oklahoma. Works much better as Oklahoma. Do any of you guys watch the NFL? There's a team in the NFL named after a poem. Do you know Clearwater, Florida? Do you know what that is? No? At the end of these buildings, there's actually a statue under the trees. He can be hard to see, but it is Edgar Allan Poe. Does that help? He's like, no. Edgar Allan Poe wrote a lot of stuff, but he wrote The Raven. And so he was famously buried in Baltimore. They named the Ravens after his story. But he was born here in Boston. And he lived here, he came back, he went to the army here, and then he had his first book of poems published here. Now, I was walking down Philadelphia not too long ago, and I ran across this old building, and Edgar Allan Poe used to live there. So I went in, they give you a brochure. Do you know that? And you go in there, and they say, make sure you go in the basement, because it's a really creepy basement. They think he got some of his crazy ideas there. Well, he spent some time in the army out on the islands of Boston Harbor. And when you go out there, they say, make sure you go in the basement, because it's really crazy. And we think that Poe got his... Every place he lived, which he lived a lot of places, it had crazy basements. It did. What's that? Talk to me. And she's saying, since he was born here down this alleyway, we should call it Poe Loco. But they have to have weird, like, getting on to Charles Street. This was the shoreline of the Charles River. Everything to our left was water. We had to reclaim that. We're going to go into the back bay. We'll talk more about that. This nice park on our left is called the Boston Public Garden, the oldest botanical garden in the country, and it's got the swan boats in there. We also have the ducklings. I don't know if you guys have seen little duckling statues. Are you ready to see the duckling statues? Now don't look straight left, but look forward left, okay, through the trees, and you will see in the sunshine partially Mrs. Mallard and her 8 ducklings, alphabetically named from J to Q, giving us Jack, Jack, Black, 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 Black. Now guess how many kids my parents have, and don't say 0 because it's not nice, okay? My parents have 8 kids, God love them, and my mother has always felt a connection with Mrs. Mallard, so she has a replica of that on her mantelpiece. Now there is a right answer and a wrong answer to this question. Do you want me to sing? No. Good, thank you, okay. So since you don't want me to, I will. Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. On the right, we have the Bull and Finch Pub, the inspiration for the Cheers television show. There was only one television show with a larger finale audience than Cheers. You know what it was? It was, now you got the top 4s, 3 and 4. It was MASH. It was MASH, Cheers, Seinfeld, Friends. Those are your top 4. So off to our left is Arlington Street, and we're going to head over that and keep going straight up Beacon Street. Look at this nice angel on our left. That is called Bread on the Waters, and it's done by a pretty well-known sculptor named Daniel Chester French. If you've ever been to Washington, D.C., you've seen the big Abraham Lincoln Memorial, same sculptor. If you really like history and you want to go out to Concord by the Old One Bridge and see the Minuteman statue, also Daniel Chester French. Now, do you notice what's happening to the streets right now? Very, very flat. The back bay. This was all water here. We had to bring in land from Needham and Dedham. We started doing it in the 1850s. And for a while we did it 6 days a week, 24 hours a day for 40 years. From the 1850s to the 1890s. They knew this was going to be valuable. The West End, the North End, very poor immigrants. And they said, we got to make some land here and keep the rich people in Boston. So that's what they did. Now, I told you that was Arlington Street. And then it went Berkeley, Clarendon, Dartmouth, Exeter, Fairfield, Gloucester, Hereford, Ipswich. Those are all British dukes and I've never had one. Where are you from again? Boston what? Boston Leafs. So you work for Boston Leafs. And this is new. You got the canvas on here, and you got it in your puzzle piece. And how are things looking? Roof deck. And it's so nice because you're in the middle of the city, but you're high enough up that you don't hear the traffic. Birds are flying by. You feel like you're in the, I don't know, up on a mountain somewhere. And because you've got a view of the city, this is nice this way, but you also have a view towards the north, and we're going to go there later. It's where the Charles River is, but I don't like to give anything away. Sometimes people think this stuff up here is just for show. They just don't know where we're going. We're going to go over Commonwealth Ave Mall. So when they were making this such a nice neighborhood, they built up this beautiful mall. It's got a lot of statues and memorials in every block. And all the way down to the right is where Fenway Park is. Now, a weird thing happened at Fenway Park in an hour. Do you know what's happening? I'll tell you in a little bit. We are now going to go over Newbury Street. We call this the Rodeo Drive of Boston. Has such nice places here as Giorgiomani, Brooks Brothers, Cartier, True Value Hardware Store, all the nicest places. Now we are going into Copley Square, and we're going to see the tallest building in all of New England. Now a lot of people don't know what states are in New England. Do you want to tell me what states are in New England? You got most of them. I think you skipped us. But a lot of people say Delaware and New Jersey and New York. Okay, so we still on the land we need to sit, okay? Because we're going to start off. Vanessa's a horrible driver, so as long as I know, you're like, where are we getting in the water? So we're going to go right by this tower. Now you'll see the windows of the tower. They're like 14 feet tall. When they thought they had finished this building in the 1970s, those windows were falling out and crashing to the ground. Amazingly, nobody got hurt. They had to replace them all. 10,344. You remember that, Malden? You were Malden, right? You're going to see this up close and personal. They knew that it was so pretty here that they did not want to compete against the beauty of Copley Square. They were wanting to reflect it. Now, this is a pretty church, too, Trinity Church. We're going to go all the way around this. And it's designed by Henry Hobson Richardson, H.H. Richardson. 1877 for the church, 1977 for the tower. Now, kids, are you ready to wave to somebody who waves back every single time? We could make a bet. We could make a bet, and you said, I don't know if this person's going to wave to me, and I say every single time this person's going to wave to you. All right? Because there's people in Boston who just sit around and wait for you to wave to them. So if you wave to the people in the window, they will wave back to you every single time. Look at every time. Actually, okay, one time they did not wave back. That was weird. That was really weird. If you know the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, this is the Tipton Hotel on our left. The Coffee Plaza was used in that television show. They got a nice dog in there, black lab named Carly Copley. Go in and visit her. If you're staying there, you can take her for a walk. For those of you who care about the Boston Marathon, we're turning onto Dartmouth Street. And this whole block here is taken up with the medical tent for the marathon. To the left is the Boston Public Library, oldest lending library system in the country. And to the right, a nice view of Trinity Church. So, Malden, you remember Rosie Ruiz. Do you remember Rosie Ruiz? So, guys, we're going to turn right up Boylston Street. The finish line of the Boston Marathon is 1/2 block to our left. In 1988, a woman won the marathon. But this was before they had chips in the shoes and all that, right? So people said, I think I saw her on the tee with me out in Brookline area and further out. Yeah, she was a total fraud. She came in, they gave her the wreath and everything. They didn't know for sure until 8 days later. A woman from Canada, Jacqueline Barrere, she was the real winner. And she was a real loser because they didn't celebrate her until 8 days later. The reason she's been in the news recently, Rosie, is because she just died. But then they were asking, or did she? She's such a fraud. Look to the right and you will see a truck that says Spot Coolers on it. And it looks like fun. And you will see Trinity Church. I like the Back Bay area. However, over where I was talking about before, please don't reach that camera up too far. You really kind of bothering me. I know you're just trying to get yourself in there. But that would be horrible if that hit a bus. That would be fun. Oh, sorry. Over here on the left, this building has been many things. It was part of MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. It was Museum of Natural History, and now it is, what would it be now? Restoration Hardware. They did a nice job. They came in, they fixed it up. They've got glass elevators. You take the elevators up, you get a nice view of the Church of the Covenant on Newbury Street. Are you saying you want to quack? How about these people over here? You guys ready? Green Dragon. Quack, quack. I don't know. It's just stuff they do. I'm out of control. It's no longer me. So what sport do they play at Fenway Park?
Baseball.
Baseball. What else? They've done the Frozen thing with the hockey. They've done soccer. They've done American football. Harvard Yale played there. And also allow the high schools to play. Okay, enough with the quacking, right? We're going to do that all together. It's much more fun that way, don't you think? I do. I bet if we voted, we'd get out. And now you know what they're doing? They're opening up a Hall of Fame of music at Fenway Park. There's been so many bands over there. And this year, the guy's going to play for the 6th time. He's going to be the first inductee. And that is, how did you know this? You know so much. Billy Joel, yes. He's not in a New York state of mind. He's in a Boston state of mind. Look to your left, the Boston Public Garden, oldest botanical garden in the country. And there are the beautiful swan boats. The swan boats have been here since Trinity Church was built. And they are still running owned by the same family. The Paget family who came up with that idea so many moons ago. This park, you know, they established it in 1837. They talked about for 22 years after that developing this. When they've been horrible, they put in streets and buildings and stuff. In 1859, they said, no, this is always going to be a public spot. And in the wintertime, even a suspension bridge, you can't believe that, but that's not how it's supported over there. I do like to come in and walk around and get some stories for you guys. And I was in here the other day and I noticed with all the leaves out full, it's nice and quiet in Boston Public Garden. And my visit paid off literally because I found a $20 bill. I did. I was just sitting there in someone's purse. It was great. So I try to tell kids, you want to enjoy history, you got to keep your eyes open. Now, have you guys heard of a dashiki? Do you know what a dashiki is? It's what I'm wearing. And this is from West Africa. And if you wore one of these during the Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s, that was a big statement. In 1965, over here in the Boston Common, Martin Luther King Jr. addressed a rally. He went to Boston University. He met his wife, Coretta Scott King, here in Boston. They're going to put up a memorial, 22 feet tall, of both of them together, which is a good thing because she was very active in the Civil Rights Movement. Those pictures over there, just a temporary exhibit. And I think it's about people who started off in really tough circumstances, like in gangs and stuff, and it made something of their lives. So you can walk around, you can read about them. If you can see the ducklings, they're coming through the trees over there. And I like that we finish up so many things over here. We finish up Watch for Hunger and road races, and kids play games over here. You know what the college kids play over here? Good old-fashioned Harry Potter Quidditch. They put these poles in the ground, they get these big circles, they carry their brooms. They don't know how to fly, but the MIT kids are working on it, so we think any day now. Now we're climbing up Beacon Hill, a very nice place to live, and this was a nice place to live back in 1625. If you look to your left up here, on the wall, there is a plaque, and it says the Reverend William Blackston, just behind this trash truck. Oh, right there. Now, Blackston got here in 1625, and he lived here for 5 years by himself. And then the Puritans came over from Charlestown, and they joined him, and they renamed the Shama Peninsula Boston because they were homesick. They came from Boston, England. I like the hat on that guy. You like crossover. He looks like he was going to a polo match or croquet. Very old-timey, yes. Little straw hat on there. Look to the right, please, again with that arm. Okay, yeah, because again, on Beacon Hill, you're going to lose that arm. On the right here is the Frog Pond, and that has a wading pool in the summertime, and it is a skating rink in the wintertime. Let me give you an idea of someone who lives up here, sadly, but we have the Massachusetts State House. Cornerstone to this building, late in 1795, by Paul Revere and Governor Sam Adams. Very pretty building. Take at least a quick glimpse to the right, though, because this is one of the finest Civil War memorials in the entire country, the Colonel Robert Gould Shaw Memorial. He was in charge of the 1st All-Black Regiment during the Civil War. He and his men went down to South Carolina. He lost his life in the Battle of Fort Wagner. The movie Glory was about him and his men. Now get this, the Puritans came here for religious freedom. Are they going to share it? No. Look to your left, you see Mary Dyer. Originally she was a Quaker. Originally she was a Puritan. She became a Quaker. Where did they send her? To the smallest state in the whole country, down to Rhode Island. She kept coming back. You know what they did to her? It says it right there. June 1st, 1660, they hanged her on the Boston Common just for being a Quaker. and that was over 30 years before the Salem witch trials. Coming up on your left, this is the top of Beacon Hill. It used to be 60 feet higher. We took that land off to fill in the harbor side. But there is a firefighter memorial coming up on our left. And John F. Kennedy lived over on the right. He's taking up the whole road over here. John F. Kennedy, 122 Bowden Street. Yep, it's just beyond here. Look at all these rocks. Do you guys want any rocks? I'll let you reach out and get one. Third floor up here. The official address of JFK. He established that residence in 1946 so he could run for Congress. And when JFK was shot in 63, on his license, it still said 122 Bowden Street. Emily, I'd like to apologize to you because I feel like my tour goes downhill at this point, and I'm trying to work on it, okay? Okay, she's like, okay, yeah, I agree. It's been really bad and it's getting worse. This whole north side of Beacon Hill was known to have the largest community of free blacks in the North before the Civil War. It's really cool. Black Heritage Trail that snakes on down here. This little church on our left was called the St. John's the Evangelist Episcopal Church. The very first preacher of that church, named Lyman Beecher. His daughter Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin. The first book in America besides the Bible to sell over 1 corner on the right, and Alexander Graham Bell was working there. And I asked a young boy on tour the other day if he knew what Alexander Graham Bell invented. He didn't know, so I did this with my hand, and he said, oldest cell phone. I said, yes, exactly. 1875, right here in Boston, Alexander Graham Bell invented this cell phone. And you thought you weren't going to learn anything new today, didn't you? Kids, you know what that system was to help the slaves escape from the South? It was called the Underground Railroad. And this church up here on the left was part of the Underground Railroad, the Old West Church. Slaves making their way up from the South could stay here, get food and clothing and shelter before they headed all the way up to Canada. There you go. If I point at you, just say Canada. Okay, we'll keep it simple. There you go. And then in 1960, that was a polling station back there, and John F. Kennedy voted for president in that building. His wife Jackie was with him, but she had already voted in absentee because she was pregnant with John Kennedy Jr., and she didn't think she'd be able to get over there to the polling station. So 1851, Uncle Tom's Cabin, basically published 1851. I think it's officially 1852, but it came out in serial form in magazines in 1851. Also, you know what they were doing? They were strengthening the fugitive slave law in 1851. With all of our help, we were trying to help the slaves escape, and they wanted us to send them back south, and we said, no, we're not going to do that. They're trying to strengthen the fugitive slave law, and some people said maybe we should because 1851 was that close to the Civil War. They did not want to do that. There's a building in front of us. It's a tenement house. There used to be rows of these tenement houses. We took them down in the 1950s. There's a free museum on our left called the West End Museum, and it shows the before and after pictures of this. And this building, I thought they were going to tear this down. But a couple months ago, some people on our tour said, oh no, that's an Airbnb and we're staying there. Yes. So yes, they got pictures of it, and it looks very nice as long as you don't mind having billboards around outside your windows, and that's a nice thing. The blue bikes. I have a key in my wallet to the blue bikes. I'm a big fan of blue bikes. You can rent the bikes out, ride around town. They're stationed all over the place. There's a ramp here. It's going up inside this new building, going up to the garden. The ramp is at 33 degrees. Now there's the Boston Garden where the Celtics play. So I'm thinking 33 degrees, Larry Bird, right? No, it's for the circus elephants. They can't walk up a ramp steeper than 33 degrees. And lately I've been having these big nightmares, and that's all you can remember of my tour. Did you learn about Mary Dyer and John Hancock? No. Did you know that elephants have difficulty walking up ramps? Hey, some of you guys might qualify to stay over here. You can stay for free if you qualify. This is the Suffolk County Jailhouse. I'm just not sure. I don't know you guys well enough yet. But it is a nice building, isn't it? And it's got a nice view of the Charles River. So what happened was the people who live in these buildings over here said, wait a minute, we're going to build a prison right in front of us. Can you make it something nice? So they built this, and now the prisoners complain about their ugly brown buildings over there. So what are you going to do for us? All right, I want to give you another 1851 story. Their help. See that big bridge in the back? And when they got over to California, the hold was open. The navigator for Flying Cloud was a woman. That was a big deal in 1851, Eleanor Creasy. And you guys know Michael Bloomberg? Do you know Michael Bloomberg's parents' names? You don't know their parents' names? I do, because I see it every day. If you look to your left on the wall, you're going to see William and Charlotte Bloomberg. Now, Michael Bloomberg was mayor of New York City. He made a lot of money. He grew up near here, Medford, and he has fond memories of visiting the Museum of Science, which is on your left. And so what did he do recently? He donated to the museum $50 million. Now, you know, most really rich people are probably kind of crazy, right? Don't you think? So if you said to somebody, I'm going to give you $50 million and then I get to write something like on your house, would you have a limit to what he could write? I just found this upside down.
You're like,
You
nope.
have to put your parents' names on there. I mean, I would allow you to, but you got to put your parents' names on there. I'm sorry. So this is the Leechburn Viaduct on our right, and this goes in front of us another mile and a half or so, maybe a mile. This is how far the British had to paddle their boats. They had to paddle all the way across this water, and then they stopped at Leechmere Point, and they started hiking out to Lexington and Concord. Lexington, because it now sounds like house. But it's weird when you start getting these personal stories, because you generally think, oh, John Hancock here, the largest signature, you know, the Declaration of Independence. Paul Revere rode through the countryside. And then you hear that Paul Revere had 8 kids from his first wife, and then 8 kids from his second wife. This is a brand new court, new courts over here. And this is all, we're going to go into the other side over here, and we're going to get into EF, education first. Oh, now you're on pink top. Okay, there we go. How was that? You know what, I did this once before, and these kids' glasses were just as dirty as yours were. They're very lovely. You got a nice sense of style, that's for you. So, this used to be very, very swampy over here. A lot of places in Boston and Cambridge. Green, plain land. There was a cheesy, I think it was a cheesy little movie called Central Intelligence. It had Kevin Hart and it had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And they had over here, this building wasn't even here a few years ago, and they had this big park, and this is where the trailers were for the filming, because they filmed right here in Boston. And so we came over here one time in the duck. We didn't used to come over here that much. We're doing it more these days. And we came over, and there was a guy with a clipboard and the whole air thing, and we pulled up and we said, "We're on the list." He goes, "Yeah, get going, get out of here." So this is EF. I don't know if you've heard of EF. It's a Swedish company. You have heard of it. They do training all over the world. They teach people language and culture all over the world. And they have this growing campus over here. So the first building we're going to see actually is their most recently built. Not this one here, but the one just underneath this bridge. And this is a dorm of sorts, and it also has some fun things. It has a field for kids to play. And kids, have you ever gone climbing on a wall, you know, like one of those rock wall things? They got one of these. If you look to your left, inside the glass wall, look at that climbing wall. This just opened literally like 2 weeks ago. They call it Holt House. Mr. Holt's the guy who started the company. This is their first building over here. That's their business school now. There's a second building over here. We like these guys. We have meetings here. Although, talk about creativity. The first restaurant over here was called Lingo. So then they built this building. What did they call this one? This restaurant? Lingo. Not even Lingo, just Lingo. So I was getting good. Yeah, do you know EF? You just graduated from Holtz. You just graduated from the business school. Guys, look at this. Yeah, they got woohoo! What do you call it? Little Lingo? Little Lingo. But it was Lingo. You can't change the name afterwards. Look at this. One of the largest skateboard parks in the country. Isn't that cool? So while you're checking those kids out, the Coast Guard makes me share a few things with you. If you're really little, less than 90 pounds, here, the kids one's right here, life preservers. They got red tags on them. All the other ones have yellow tags. It's for adults. I've never had to use them, but they're there if we need them. The windows, the windshield, everything opens up. You can get out. We have a fire extinguisher. We have one in back. We have a radio. We can talk to the Coast Guard. We can talk to the state police. We got a life ring here and a life ring in the back. Now, Vanessa is about to engage the propeller, and it's very exciting for me because it's the only engagement that I've ever been a part of. It's very exciting. Get those hands up. Woo! Boom. What? Yay! You hung in there. Way to go. I do like to watch people's faces because I'm convinced they don't always tell Grandma we're going in the water. Oh my goodness, that's a very big puddle. That's my grandmother's voice. You guys have heard of Pocahontas, right? She had a friend, John Smith. John Smith was mapping the New England coast, and he found this river back in the early 1600s, and he called it the Massachusetts. He brought the map back to England. He showed young Prince Charles. Prince Charles was only 15 years old. He said, "I want to name that river after me." So this was named after Prince Charles. He later became King Charles I. There's our duck beacon, Hilda. We are on Liberty Teresa today. Now, if you look backwards, underneath the wishbone support of the bridge, that has a word on top of the building, and it says Converse. That's the new world headquarters of Converse Incorporated. Now back by there is also the new lock and dam system. Now I still remember the blizzard of 1978. There was a huge storm and there was a 15-foot surge in the ocean that would have flooded the old lock and dam system that we're heading for. The new one behind us has 6 pumps underneath it, and they can pump out the water at a rate of 3.5 million gallons per minute. If you go to Fenway Park, oh, I didn't finish my Fenway Park story, did I? No. Well, first I want you to know that this is clean water now, because they sing over there at Fenway Park. They sing, "I love that dirty water, Boston, you're my home." But the Charles River Watershed Association has cleaned this up so much it's now rated swimmable. So in about 50 minutes from now, they're going to start a game. Well, they're going to play baseball. They're not going to start a game. They're going to restart a game. Did you hear about this? So back on August 7th, the Red Sox were playing the Kansas City Royals. Those are the only segues you will have on my tour, okay? Because I just jump all over the place. And what happened was it ended at 4-4 in the 10th inning. It was raining, so they wanted to be a little bit closer. So they've been in Baltimore playing against the Orioles. They're coming up, and they're going to restart the game. Now, after the duck, I don't know if you have any time to get over there if you want to, but what they're doing is it's free for kids under 18 years old. Because get this in mind, it could last 15 minutes. $5 for adults. The food is really inexpensive. I think it's $1 for hot dogs and stuff, and all that money is going to charity, to the Jimmy Fund. And I think the kids get to run around the track and stuff too. So it's just this weird day, and I'm really curious to see, is it going to last, half an inning, or is it going to last, 5 or 6 or 7? Well, who knows? There's a door here, that door would slide over to here, another one slide over there, and we would raise the lower level of the water. This was an active lock and dam system. It was to keep the water up here instead of letting it run out. Museum of Science is built on top of the dam. Kids, you've been very patient. I know you want to quack, and we're going to come very close to a duck. And so if you want to, we're going to quack. Who is that with the lights? Did you tell him? No? Okay, get ready. Green dragon. Quack, quack. Oh, good, we got another one. You ready for Symphony Howl? Here comes Symphony Howl. All right, green dragon. Oh, it's always fun coming out on the river. It feels like summer. All right, so you guys have been so patient. I think we need some help here, Vanessa. Would you like to drive? Come on up. Look at that face. Come on up here. Come on up here. Have a seat. Woo-hoo! Have a seat. Make sure you get the pictures. Sit down. Sit down. And at the same time, look back here. Look back for the photograph. There's a photograph. There you go. Can I see a show of hands? How many people want to drive the duck? No, come on. Get these guys here. You two come up together. Come up together. Come on up together. No. Why are you doing that? Causing more trouble than I need right now. All right, so the Puritans are in Boston on our left. They made a new town across the water. They weren't that creative yet. You know what they called this new town? They called it Newtown. And then they opened up the first college in the country. They call it the College of Newtown. You guys want to look back for a photograph? There you go. A couple of years later, the very wealthy minister John Harvard died. He left half his money and all of his books to the college. Now, if you know anything about Harvard, you know they would have preferred all of the money and half of the books. But they took what they could get. They renamed it Harvard. And because a lot of the Puritans have been educated in Cambridge, England, they renamed it Cambridge. That's how you get Boston and Cambridge. All right, you guys are from Peru. Isn't that amazing? This is for you. It's a sticker. You come on down here and don't fall. Come on down. No, you can keep the sticker. Come on. It's the shy one with the crazy glasses. What's your name? Nice to see you, Stephanie. Have a seat, Stephanie. If you want, we can take your picture. Thank you, Vanessa. And we can look at a credit card, too. The bridge that we're... Grab the wheel, you're driving. Don't you know what that means? Grab the wheel. What is happening to children today? Do you think a computer was going to drive it? So the bridge we're approaching is called the Henry Wadsworth Longfellow Bridge. Some people think that the towers up on top look like salt and pepper shakers, so they call it the Salt and Pepper Bridge. We have just finished a 3-year renovation of this project that lasted 5 years. Oh my gosh. We've had blue tarps and barges and restricted travel. And even though it was really interesting to see, this was even uglier. Do you know what they did to those towers? Do you see the towers? All right, Emily, you coming down from the back? Come on down. Oh, your camera if you want. Do you want to bring the camera? Oh, or not. That's okay. We'll draw a picture of you. If you take the red line over the Longfellow Bridge, oh yeah, you forgot something. And you go around the buildings in Kendall Square, you can rent kayaks, canoes, and stand-up paddleboards. I like your hat with the 6-time champion Patriots. You kidding me? Look over here. There you go. On the hill on our left, you're about to see the gold dome of the State House up on the hill. It used to be covered in shingles and it leaked. So they asked Mr. Paul Revere to cover that in copper. He was a coppersmith, he was a silversmith, he had a foundry, he made bells, and now every 20 years or so we cover that dome up there in real gold. So you're not going to crack anymore right now, guys. I see you getting ready. I see you getting ready. Just cool for a little bit, okay? Just give everyone a little bit of a break. At the top of that building, there is a pine cone. Malden, do you know what state used to be a part of Massachusetts? No, Maine. Maine used to be a part of Massachusetts. All right, Emily, nice work. This is for you. All right, not too busy over there, huh? Doing okay? Do we have another driver? Kids back there, you don't want to drive? No? Look at that. All right, easy for us. Got it. So, if you look to the right, you will see a canal. Oh yeah, sure enough, here comes a kayak. You might see stand-up paddleboards over there. They can rent all of those. What a pretty day. So the projections off the bridge here, those are Viking ships. They used to think the Vikings came all the way down the Charles River. There was actually one professor from Harvard who was reading the Norse sagas, and he thought it sounded like the headwinds or the head waters of the Charles River. What does that sound? Is this construction? Sounds like a helicopter. Check it out. But the other reason we have those ships up there, of course, is because, well, that's why we call our football team the New England Vikings. This confuses everybody. Now at night we have blue lights underneath here, looking really pretty. And we're about to see the Back Bay. We've been changing up our skyline. To the right of the Prudential is a brand new building. It is called One Dalton. That is a Four Seasons hotel. We now have two, just like LA and New York City. In the distance, that's where everyone is right now, half hour from now. That is the Cicto sign that's close to Fenway Park, the oldest professional ballpark in the country. It was built in 1912. In April of 1912, the Titanic was sinking. They didn't want to have a big party, so they were about to have it just a few days after the Titanic sank, and they pushed it back to April 20th, give a few days for the news to die down a little bit. Look at all these kayakers. In the fall, we have one of the largest rowing regattas in the whole world over there. So you're going to do the whole thing. I think it's starting to get to me. I think it's my face right there. So you're going to do the whole tour. And the MIT kids have never liked that. So in the 1950s, they took a frat boy named Oliver Smoot. They laid Smoot on the bridge, they made a mark. They flipped him over, they made another mark. They kept flipping him all the way down the bridge, and they measured the bridge in smoots. And that bridge is now called the Smoots Bridge. It's 364.4 smoots long, give or take 1 year. And Mr. Smoot was on one of our tours. He said alcohol was not involved. So we know Mr. Smoot is a liar, basically. Emily, have you ever thrown a grape up in the air and caught it in your mouth? Is that how you lost your teeth? No, you ever do that? Well, in 1988, the guy stood next to that John Hancock Tower. He had somebody on the roof drop a grape off the roof, and he caught it in his mouth. He has the Guinness Book of World Records. They estimate the grape was traveling 110 miles an hour when he caught it. Paul Tavia was his name. Through the trees there, that is the Hatch Shell where the Boston Pops play on the 4th of July, and they always have a guest or two. Do you know who was here this 4th of July? The Queen. The Queen was here. Queen Latifah played with the Boston Pops, and also Arlo Guthrie. Now you guys may have given us some money. If you rounded up your purchase to give us some money, thank you very much. We take those quarters and dimes and nickels, we double them up, and we give some to these guys over here. It's called community boating. They teach kids how to sail. They teach everyone how to sail, but for very little money, they'll teach kids from 10 to 18. This looks like a stand-up paddleboard class, doesn't it? Now beyond those guys, there is a brand new walkway that goes over Storer Drive. It was this rusted out thing, and now it's very pretty. It's got white lights on it. There you go. He's good enough to he can wave and paddle at the same time. So look at that big building near Fenway Park. That is called Pierce Tower. So we've been changing our skyline everywhere. That tower dwarfs the buildings in the Fenway area. They just opened it recently, and they claim that the people at the top of the building, which I don't think the top is completed, they completed the bottom part. I mean, the people at the top might actually be able to see into Fenway Park, but I'm not sure that's true. The good thing about Red Sox are that we are the reigning champions. That's the good thing. The bad thing is they don't seem to be trying very hard sometimes. We've got a lot of good players, we've got a lot of good statistics, but we can't be winning these games. Look to the right, you will see a building between the trees. It's got a yellow cupola, it's got these round windows, it's got this cruciform design to the whole thing. That was the Charles Street Jail. It was a jail from the 1850s to the 1990s for 140 years. Do you know what it is now? It's the beautiful Liberty Hotel. Liberty means free with them. You go to jail because the rooms are in the medium-sized brick building over here. But if you walk in the lobby, it still has the catwalks and it has the bars. There are bars. The bars are on the bars. And he worked it around. Sure enough. So they swallow the whole thing, and everybody in the duck went, oh. And then I love after they have a fish like that, you know what they do? Over on the right, we have something we're very proud of. In general, the hospitals in Boston. Now, there are a lot of hospitals out by Fenway Park. It's called the LMA, the Longwood Medical Area. You got things like Children's Hospital, which is usually ranked #1 in pediatrics. And you got Beth Israel Deaconess and Brigham and Women's. And over here on the right, we have Mass General Hospital. MGH got its charter back in 1811. So celebrating over 200 years of history. And they've done a lot of things over there, and the one thing I like to point out is that they figured out how to put us to sleep to operate on us. Isn't that a good thing? That's a good thing. All right, I haven't picked on you at all. Oh, God. So, before the date that I haven't told you, if we got operated on, you'd be fully awake. A lot of people would die from the shock and the pain of the surgery. So give me a year. No one ever gets it right, but give me a year you think we figured out how to use ether to put us to sleep. 1743. So that's the earliest guess I've ever got, which is fine. We normally get guesses very late. We usually get guesses about 1930 or something like that. And it's basically almost in the middle of that. It was 1846. So it was before the American Civil War. If you've ever seen Dances with Wolves, the opening scene is on the American Civil War battlefield. They're about to amputate Kevin Costner's leg. And they look at each other, the doctors, and they say, we just ran out of ether. So it's like the first line in this 4-hour movie. So it was available, but maybe not in abundance. 50 years later, the first medical x-rays, Mass General Hospital, 1896. Now, I hugged the guy who just got out of here about 10 days ago. Do you want to hear that story? I hugged him. You're like, I don't know if you want to share. If you need to get it off your chest, Jigsaw. Okay. So, you guys heard of David Ortiz, Big Papi, played for the Red Sox, represented our team. He's from the Dominican Republic, and he was injured down there, and he was taken to Mass General to be fixed up. Well, last fall, I got to drive in the Red Sox parade, and so did Vanessa. You drove in that parade, right? Did you drive in that one? Oh, you did not. We've had so many that I can't keep them straight. You declined. She's like, so, I've done 1 Bruins, 1 Red Sox, and 3 Patriots. So last year, we have 28 ducks in our fleet. We probably used 24 ducks that day. What number duck would you put this on? What number duck? Did you say what? 21, the 21st duck? Wow, what number would you put this on? 20? Oh my gosh. Can you help me out, Canada? What number duck would you put this on? Thank you, Malden. Malden said number 1. Thank you so much. My goodness, never had some disrespect in my life. So I get to drive Red Sox name in the parade. What's that? Oh, Edelman. I had a picture of Edelman on my old phone. Yes, from the other one, yes. The parade. Oh, Vanessa made Bill Belichick laugh. Wait a minute, Bill Belichick doesn't laugh. That's impossible. What did you say? Something about Edelman? So, what was the big year in Boston? 1775. In April, we had Lexington and Concord. In June, we had Bunker Hill. So as we clear this bridge, you're going to see the Bunker Hill Monument. But before that, we're going to have to quack again. It's just when you thought you were going to take a nap. You guys ready? Here we go. Green Dragon. Quack, quack. Vanessa's going to hit the horn here for a moment. call it something. Come on, you call it Skipper or something. No, call it Jigsaw. All right, so that monument. We had 700 patriots at the top of that hill. We brought them up the night before. What did they do? They dug in all night long. They dug these trenches because the next day, who's coming over? The best army in the world. 300 times as many. 2,200 British soldiers leave the Boston Common. They come across the water. The first thing they did when they got over there, they lit the place on fire. People were in homes and they were shooting at the British. And they said, really, you're going to shoot at us? So here's a little fire for you. Then they advanced up the hill. The Patriots were dug in so well that they held them off once, they held them off twice, but the third time up, the Patriots ran out of ammunition and the British took over the hill. Now some people wonder why we put up a monument if we lost the battle. It's because of the casualties. For one single day, over 1,000 for the British, and between 400 and 500 for the Patriots. Bloodiest battle in the whole Revolutionary War. And by the way, that is not Bunker Hill. Did you know that? It's Breed's Hill. There were two different family names. The Bunkers owned the hill further back. The Breeds owned this when the action took place on Breed's Hill. There's Longfellow Bridget. So this is fresh water. But you know what came in here a couple of years ago? A harbor seal. A harbor seal came right up through the system, and I saw it on 2 of my tours. It was here for about a week. It's pretty cool to see. Vanessa might hit the horn here. You never know. So this past 4th of July, we had some friends jump off this bridge. 2 of them were me and Vanessa. We jump off this bridge and we do a shallow jump. You don't want to touch the bottom. We do anchor drills in the beginning of the year. But yeah, we go down, and then we go in and we get our tracks and goes with a bunch of people. We go on up. And I love the 4th of July. There's a flyover, jet flyover. Of course, the Boston Pops. Everyone's in a great mood. We've had a lot of animals around here. We've had woodchucks. We've had raccoons. We have had rabbits. And we need one more crescendo to get us out of here. I like your shoes, by the way. All right, here we go. Woohoo! Way to go, Vanessa! Woohoo! Now, some of you might recognize this over on the right. It's got a lot of character to it. It is called Boston Sand and Gravel. And because it's got so much character, Hollywood likes to use this in some movies. It has been in the movie The Equalizer with Denzel Washington, and also The Town with Ben Affleck. Scenes filmed over here at Boston Sand and Gravel. Oh, a few more kids waking up. You can tell the young ones, they still have the helmets before the helmet folds and drops off as they get older. So these ducks are actually called D.W.W. ducks. The D was a military designation for the year 1942. That's when they were designed. The U, utility vehicle. The K, front-wheel drive. And the W, 2 rear axles. These were first used in the invasion of Sicily in 1943. And they used almost 700 ducks in the invasion of Normandy in 1944. 700 ducks. What do you do? The original ducks had... But also you let some air out of the tires. Did you say that?
No, wide tires.
Wide tires, wide tires. But if you have a regular one, if you let some air out of the tires, then you don't dig into the sand. And some people usually say deflate. So we don't say deflate around Patriots fans, okay? But you let some air out of the tires. Now, if you were in a duck, people, so what would they do? They'd work 6 days a week, and then they go to church on Sunday for like 7 hours. And they make you go to church too, and if you didn't, they put you in jail. How do you like them apples? Well, the women, it was the women back then, would start baking their beans on Saturday night and let them all bake all Sunday while they were in church. And sometimes the ship's captains claimed that they could smell the beans baking. So we're getting close to beans now. So if you guys will stay seated, we have to get back there. We have to let you out. Please take a look at your photogenics picture. They do a nice job. You might like a little memento of our trip together. If you leave anything valuable behind, just check on eBay tomorrow, okay? You can probably put in a bid for it. Now sometimes, I thought kids were going to be valuable, but please take the kids with you, okay? Because we got a whole room full of kids and nobody wants them. It's terrible. We have to thank Vanessa. Way to go, Vanessa. Woo! And I do recommend, if you get a chance to go in the Museum of Science, we're big fans. Go Minnesota. After everyone gets off the duck, if you get any questions, you can ask. If you want to take a walk over to the North End or something, it's not that far that way. Go the way we went, go over by the garden. If you want to go that way for a walk, go to Galleria Mall. You could go over the bridge into Charlestown. So even though there's nothing like immediately around here, you get out a little few minutes out and you got a lot of stuff to visit. And we need one more crescendo. Here we go. Woohoo! Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed your trip in Boston and have a good stay. Thanks.
Thank you.